Okay, well, I guess the big news of the world, so to speak, is they've announced the official cast for Star Wars Episode 7. That seems to be the big thing now. Yeah, it's going to be another Star Wars movie. Who would have thought? Certainly not I. Yeah, I kind of have I'm trying to find the article about there because they're everywhere. But really, I have kind of a love hate relationship with Star Wars because the people that always seem to rag on these movies that really hate these movies. Uh, Damn it, I can't find the article. There's even on here that says the Star Wars cast should be better. You know? So nobody is even happy about this. Like, no one. You will never satisfy anybody anymore, especially with the world being as internet as it is. Uh, they have this the female actress that they posted. Her name is Daisy Ridley. Nobody knows anything about her. Nobody even has heard of her before. She's done things, I guess, in England. What is it? British TV shows. They even say that there's not that much information about it. But the point is, as far as the Star Wars movies go, my personal take on them, I like them. Some people would even say that I'm borderline fanboy of them. I like them, but I don't obsess over them. Similar to somebody who just said that the Star Wars cast should be better. And I remember watching Return of the Jedi when I was 3 years old, because it came out in '83. I remember my mom took my brother and I to the movie theaters to watch Star Wars Return of the Jedi. And I don't remember much of it. I do remember hiding under the seats when the Emperor was throwing Force lightning at Luke Skywalker and frying him. But as far as really kind of any recollection of that, it didn't happen until I saw the movies on VHS. And I remember I had all three that somebody had taped for me. Then I remember when I was older, I bought the digitally remastered versions, and then I bought. In fact, I have the copies of the digitally enhanced versions, and then I have the special editions, which a lot of people hated because George Lucas basically came back and said, "I'm going to fix my old movies. I'm going to fix the old Star Wars movies and make them the way I wanted to make them in the first place." And a lot of people called bullshit on that because they figured he was just trying to make a quick buck by re-releasing the Star Wars movies. And I believe it was, I want to say it was, I know it was Spoonie, Noah Antweiler. He did say this, but I forget which video he was talking about it on, but he had said something along the lines of, if George Lucas wanted to make millions of dollars, and I actually agree with this, if he wanted to make a quick million when he's still in the franchise, he should have said, okay, I am releasing Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, in theaters, uncut, exactly how it looked in 1977. You would have had people lined up around the block to see it. Because something about the Star Wars movies that need to be seen on the big screen It's just, there's a magic to it. I can't understand it, because I went and I saw the re-releases of 4, 5, and 6 with the added additions to it. And, there was that feeling of, oh my god, I'm watching Star Wars on the big screen. And, when the John Williams music hit and the credits started rolling, and the people in the audience literally stood up and cheered and clapped. It was the first time I'd ever seen that done before. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that was cool. When the Death Star blew up, everybody cheered, because it was like being a kid again. And, I can't imagine how it was when the movies first came out. I'll never understand that. Really, the only thing I have to kind of compare that to would be, like, Lord of the Rings. Like, I saw the very first, The Fellowship of the Ring. And, actually, my cousin and I went to see it. The very first thing that we said to each other was like, wow, that was a really long movie. That was a really long movie. And then here I am. I go and buy the extended versions of Lord of the Rings, all 3 of the movies, and I can't imagine watching the original cut anymore. I have to watch the extended versions, even though it makes Fellowship like 3.5 hours long. Two Towers is about 3 hours 45 minutes. Return of the King is 55 minutes long, or it feels like 55 minutes. But oh my god, I love those movies. I like the fantasy genre of movies, so it really doesn't bother me. Those things could be 7 hours long, and I'd still watch them. But we're talking about Star Wars here. Then I remember in, I want to say 99, year I graduated, or maybe it was 97. 97 or 98, I know that. Because 97 was when the re-releases came out. Then they announced that George Lucas is going to go back, and he's going to do the prequels. He's going to start from episode 1 and talk about Darth Vader's rise. Now, without repeating what other people have said about the prequels, I will say this. I liked the prequels. There, I said it. I liked them. Some things I would love to have seen them take out. I thought some things were very needless. I'm looking at you, Jar Jar. But, and another thing I didn't like is the fact that they kind of rewrote the Force, in that the Force, when you first heard about it, was kind of like a Zen Buddhist type thing where only certain people could master this power, or like certain people were chosen to be able to manipulate this power. And it turns out that the only way that you can manipulate this power is if you have a certain amount of bacteria in your bloodstream. Like, the more bacteria you have in your blood, the more you can manipulate the Force. So that was kind of a bad thing to put on it, because you almost, when you first watch the older movies, you think like, wow, the Jedi, they're special. They're really important people. Like, these guys are like one of only a few people in a bunch that have been chosen to wield this power. And they're not. They're just lucky enough to have germs in them. That's really what the prequels are saying, is that these guys are just lucky enough to have this bacteria in them to let them manipulate shit. As far as the acting goes, because the acting gets really panned. I've said this for a while. George Lucas is a great writer, but he's not a great director by any stretch. If you look, because it's weird. The very first Star Wars movie he directed, but then he put other guys in for Empire and Return of the Jedi, and you wonder, like, what happened? Like Star Wars, the original, is a classic, an absolute classic, and people are like, wow, George Lucas, he's a revolutionary, he was awesome. And then he directs the prequels, and they say, oh my God, George Lucas is an idiot. He's so stupid. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's weird. I don't get it. But bottom line, I like the movies, okay? And, I was actually fortunate enough to show Ashley the Star Wars movies. But I started from the originals. Because she even said, like, there's, like, 6 Star Wars movies. Are you starting with the first, like, episode 1? I was like, no. We have to start with episode 4. And she gave me that look. I'm like, okay. It's a little weird. But we watched the originals first, and then we watched the prequels. And it all made sense. And, of course, she likes the prequels more because they're more lighthearted. Me, I prefer the originals. Just our thing. But with episode 7... one of the things that I discover that they're going to do is, now with episode 7, it's going to be set 20 years after Return of the Jedi, apparently. And all the original guys are going to be back. Luke, Han, Leia, and all the new cast. So, the question now was brought up, that there was an article as well, was, what does this do for the expanded universe? Because after Return of the Jedi, they weren't making any more movies. So their only other option were books. And the expanded universe is just that. It's 20, 30 years of accumulated, basically fan fiction of Star Wars. But some of these stories are awesome. Unbelievably awesome. I love the expanded universe. I remember in a school library, I found one of the books where it was it was like the very first book of the new Jedi Academy, where Luke was trying to rebuild the Jedi Order. So he was going around finding all of these Force-sensitive people. Again, this is before prequels, so it was all based on the original movies. So there was no talk of midichlorians. There was no talk of Darth Maul or any of the other, anything involving the prequels. It was just Luke Skywalker going around, like, these people have they're very Force sensitive, and he's finding these people to rebuild the Jedi Academy. And then I found out there was other stories. Some of the stories were really cool. Probably the best one a lot of people agree with is Grand Admiral Thrawn. And Grand Admiral Thrawn was one of the Emperor's 12 Grand Admirals, like the highest ranking officials of the Galactic Empire. And Thrawn was, number one, he was an alien, which was very weird because the Emperor is very anti-alien. And number two is he disappeared. He was nowhere near Endor when the Death Star got attacked. So they actually mentioned that in the TIE Fighter video game, because you actually get to pilot alongside Grand Admiral Thrawn. And he's off fighting some rogue admiral. And he comes back, the Empire is in shambles. He reunites the admirals, the other fleets of the Empire, and goes on the attack. And he almost wins. I think aside from when they resurrected the Emperor, Grand Admiral Thrawn had literally almost destroyed the New Republic, and I thought that was really cool. Because it wasn't this dark Jedi who had amassed the remnants of the Empire. It wasn't some Sith Lord lost in time for generations, finally arisen to come back and overthrow the Jedi. It was a guy. It was an admiral. This military strategist who overthrew a lot of what the Old Republic had done in very short time, and the only reason he died was because he was betrayed by one of his own. I thought that was awesome. And you don't see that much anymore, because the core story around Star Wars is always the Jedi and the Sith. And it's give or take. In fact, some of the games that I like for Star Wars, some of my more favorite games are ones where you don't even play Jedi. One of my favorites is Star Wars Republic Commando, where you play as a clone trooper alongside 3 other members of your squad, and you go do special missions for the Republic back during the Clone Wars. And there's no Jedi at all. And it's one of my favorite games. But now there are games where you play a Jedi and it works. You have Jedi Academy, you have Jedi Outcast, Knights of the Old Republic, really great set of games. And you know, I even started thinking about this, brainstorming, that when you watch Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and the part where Anakin and the Emperor are sitting watching some play or whatever, the Emperor looks at him and he goes, like, you know, the Jedi and the Sith, they're not really that different. And Anakin's like, yeah, there's a big difference. The Sith are all about power and control, and they manipulate people, and it's their way or no way. And the Emperor looks at him like, don't the Jedi do that too? And Anakin's like, no, we don't, no. So that got me thinking. It really got me thinking too. Okay, everybody considers the Emperor to be a bad guy. That he is just this pure evil bastard who is out to enslave the entire universe. However, in my personal opinion, the Emperor is simply a guy who wants order. He sees the universe, the galaxy, as being just this chaotic mess. He looks at the Republic. It's this corrupt bureaucracy, which, you know, people, they move up in their job by bribery, by thievery, conniving. And he looks at this and he's disgusted by it. He's like, you know what? The tenets of the Sith are way better. Yeah, we may embrace the forces of evil and the dark side of the Force to do this, and we may kill a few people here and there, but politicians do that all the time. We're just a little more direct about it. And that's my thing. It's all, I think Obi-Wan Kenobi said it best, it's all a certain point of view. I think, honestly, the Jedi are more oppressive than the Sith. Because, number one, the Jedi don't allow anybody past a certain age to become trained in the arts of the Force. Because they feel that they are far too easily corrupted. What else? The Jedi do everything they can to, like, hide the dark side. Like, we don't even talk about it. It's the red-headed stepchild locked in the basement. We don't talk about the Sith here. And to me, that is probably one of the worst things you could possibly do. You know, it goes to the argument of people claiming that if kids are raised to be hunters, they end up being violent criminals, which is total bullshit. I think if you raise a child at a young age to know what a gun can do and respect a gun and be able to operate it safely and knowledgeably, they will grow up to be far more safer than somebody who never held a gun in their life, because they know what it can do. Any hunter I know that has ever grown up around guns has not become bane of society. They're probably some of the safer people out there. Same way with the Jedi and the dark side of the Force. They're trying to hide it away because we don't want anybody to know about it, and they might use it. Show them. You have holocrons. You have video. Show what happens when somebody goes to the dark side. And they'll be like, oh, I don't want to do that. That hurt. That looks like it hurts. No. Look what happened to Darth Vader. He embraced the dark side, and look what happened to him. I'm saying, no. I like my face. I like being able to breathe on my own. So, as far as Episode 7 of Star Wars goes, will I go see it? Yes. Will I stand in line at midnight on a Friday night to see it? No. I'll wait until the hype dies down, and I'll go see it. Because I am forced to go see every Star Wars movie that ever comes out. And apparently the big buzz is that this movie's going to focus a lot more on Luke, Han, and Leia, and they're going to basically build up the new cast and then hand the reins over to them in the next 2 movies, because there's going to be 3. And they have the guy directing the new Star Trek movies to do Star Wars, which is kind of an unprecedented feat. And my only thing that I ask is they don't try and modernize Star Wars. And by that I mean what they did with the Star Trek movies. If you look at the older Star Treks and then you look at the newer Star Treks, like the ones that just recently came out, it's a very sleek iPod-like design of the Star Trek movies. And I know that they were trying to, I guess, reboot the franchise or do something different with it. You could call it a prequel, you could call it a reboot, whatever. But this is not a reboot. This is the continuation of a story. And I hope that they don't try and make things, crisper, a little more sleeker in design. I hope they still stay with the original design of all the ships and just the way things are done. I know the CG is going to be through the damn roof. But one of the good things about it is at least Andy Serkis, who is known for playing Gollum and King Kong and Caesar in the Planet of the Apes movies. He's going to be in it, which means he'll probably be a CG alien or something to do with CG, but at least it'll be done right, because he's the kind of guy that can do it perfectly. And as far as the fanboys go, there's always going to be people that have a problem with this movie. There's always going to be somebody out there who will rage on this movie. Me, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I'll go into it with an open mind, like I do with a lot of movies. I try to, at least with movies, go into it with an open mind. TV shows, not so much. Movies, I do, because movies can surprise you. There's some movies out there that have surprised me, and it's Star Wars. You just gotta go along for the ride. That's really all you can say. But I'll be there, and I know there'll probably be 8,000 toys out there made for Star Wars Episode 7. I think the name of the movie, I had heard it was called A New Dawn, but that, from what I heard, that's going to be the movie or the title for the TV show that it's coming out with. And of course, Disney wasting no time with the Star Wars franchise. They are releasing a movie every year now. They got Episode 7, I think, next year. Then they have, they want to do like maybe a Han Solo movie. That's rumors going around. They want to try and do a Star Wars movie every year. And I think it's gonna be an oversaturizing of the market of Star Wars, because that was what was cool about the other ones, is you had gaps in between. But we'll see. I'm interested to see what Disney does with it. It'll either be really cool or really stupid. We won't know until we watch it. So, it's my little take on Star Wars. I have plenty more I could talk about Star Wars. I could talk about Star Wars all day. But I won't, because it's boring. So, now I feel like I want to play a Star Wars game, but I don't know what. Damn it. Yeah, I'll play Lego Star Wars. That's always fun. I wish my computer worked. I could play TIE Fighter. I loved that game. Love TIE Fighter. X-Wing and TIE Fighter. Great games. But I'm rambling. So, filming here from my sanctuary, I guess. All the animals are asleep. Maybe I'll take a nap too. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, Icky just woke up. So I'm rambling. Sorry. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.